Welcome to the fourth lecture of Section 3, Security Groups. The what and why of security groups are fully interrelated. That is, if you understand the why part, what part will be easily understood. So, why security groups? Here's your cute little dream house. You have recently shifted in and you are feeling a little insecure. You got its fencing done from all sides, employed an experienced security guard. Now, you handed over a list of 10 of your friends with their name and details and instructed the security guard to allow only these 10 people to your house. Except these 10, no one shall ever be allowed in. The loyal security guard works as instructed. Before allowing anyone to your house, he validates the white list that you have provided to him. If the name of the guest is there, he or she is allowed, else blocked. Now, in this analogy, think of your house as your EC2 instance. The fencing plus security guard is your security group itself. Whitelist of your friends is rules that you add in the security group. What are security groups? Now, by this time I think you have already figured out what are security groups, but still, for the sake of definitions, security group are virtual firewall to your server. It can control traffic going in or traffic coming out of your EC2 instance. You add rules to security group that allow traffic to or from the instance or instances. At the time of launching an EC2 instance, you can select the default security group or you can create your own. You can configure the security group rules to control inbound or outbound traffic. So inbound as well as outbound, both can be controlled using rules in the security group. You can configure these rules while creating your security group, or you can modify it later as well. So we will see this in EC2 launch section. Step 6 of EC2 instance launch will have configuration for security group. Here you can see the options: create new security group or select an existing security group. So creating new means you will create your own, write its name, security group name, and describe it as well. And then you can add rule. Add rule means type, protocol, port range, source, and description. So next step we will see how to add rules. Add rule means you need to click the add rule button and then type. Now if you have to allow your website to be accessed from anywhere, this is the rule you should add. HTTP, in type you should select HTTP. If you are selecting HTTP, here the protocol itself will get populated as TCP. Port range, the default port for HTTP is 80. You can change this as well if you are sure that you are communicating on a different port, you can change. Then source anywhere. Source anywhere means it can be accessed from any device, and you can put your description: any device or any computer on the network. here we have added another security group rule, that is RDP. RDP means remote desktop. You can to access your instance via remote desktop, you need to add type as RDP. RDP will communicate over TCP protocol and port range will be 3389. So this you don't need to remember it. Whenever you select RDP, 3389 will be automatically populated. The default port will be automatically populated. Source is anywhere. You can change the source. You can change it to my IP. When you select my IP, your own network IP will be populated over here. You can give a custom IP or CIDR as well. We will see in today's lecture. So here you must remember that this source part will accept IP in the form of cyber notation. It won't accept plain IPs. It will accept IPs in the form of CIDR notation, CIDR. Okay, so next we will see a little basic of IP and CIDR, so that it will make easier for you to understand these terms. IP and CIDR. The IP and CIDR may sound a little daunting at first to you if you are not from a networking background, but hold on. I will try to make it easier for you. Let us see. IP is Internet Protocol. An IP address is an identifier for a computer or device on a network. So the way zip code identifies an area, in the same way, in a similar fashion, IP will identify a computer or a device on a network. The device can be anything, any connected device. Examples of IP: 192.168.100.101, and then you can continue till 255, 102 till 255, 103, etc. So all these four subdivisions with dot can go up to 255, starting from 0. Now CIDR. CIDR is classless inter-domain routing. So don't worry too much about the definition part. You just need to understand that it's a shortcut notation for describing blocks or range of IP addresses. So it's a block of IP or range of IP addresses. Example: if you want to represent a single IP, 192.168.100.101, then you can write the whole IP and then /32. /32 will represent one IP. If you are writing an IP with /31, it will represent two IPs. So 192.168.100.101 will represent two IPs, 100 as well as 101. /30 will represent 4 IPs. /24 will represent 256 IPs. And in the same way you can go up till /0. /0 will represent all the IPs. You just remember this. So how do you know, do you need to remember that /24 represents 256 IP, or what happens when you are putting /16? So you don't need to remember actually. There's a mathematical calculation for this, but maybe we will not cover in this, as this is a beginner's course. But you can refer this site, www.ipaddressguide.com/CIDR. This site will show you, if you are giving this IP /32 as input, it will give you the number of IPs as well as the IP in that range. We can check this out. So here we are in ipaddressguide.com/cider. Now we will see this 192.168.100.101/31 for example, and we will put calculate and just see it's giving you the first IP as well as last IP of this range. So it's as we have put 101/31, so first IP is 100 and the last IP is 101. So number of IPs in this cider will be 2, that is range is 2. If we are changing this to say for example 32, it should show only 1 as we have already seen it. Yes, it's only 1 and it's the IP itself, whatever is written in this. Suppose if we are putting it as 24, so 24 means it's 256. Number of IPs in this cider will be 256. It starts from 100.0 and it will go on till 100.255. Let us see what happens in case of 16. It should go high. The lower is the number after slash, the number of IPs will go high. So in case of /16 it's 65,536. So for 32 it was only 1 IP, for 16 it goes to 65,536. So now I think you are comfortable enough to face the day-to-day challenges related with IP and cider. Okay, so let's move on to some practical challenges which you face on a day-to-day basis related to IP, cider and security groups. Now, to understand security groups in a better way, we will see some day-to-day challenges. So you have one database server, and all of you know that database server security is of utmost importance. So to make your DB server highly secured, you need to ensure that requests that originate only from your web server hosted at IP 192.168.100.101 should be allowed to reach your DB server. Rest every request to your DB server should be blocked. So here you have a database server along with the security group. Now you need to configure your security group in such a way that only one IP should be allowed. Here's your various sources. You can see, so only one is green over here, that is .101. Rest everything should be blocked. So everything except that green IP should be blocked. So if you have paid attention to the last few minutes of the video where I was explaining about IP and cider, you must have got the solution by now, how to allow a single IP. This is typically that problem. So in source we will be writing 192.168.100.101/32. So this is the solution for your problem. You need to go ahead with a custom TCP rule which allows only one IP, and that IP is 192.168.100.101 1/32. So this port 3306 is basically the port where MySQL communicates. If you are selecting MySQL in the drop down, this will be auto populated. For SQL Server it might differ, but the point to understand over here is the source that is marked in yellow. If you need to allow only one IP, you should always suffix that IP with /32. This is the takeaway from this slide. I hope it makes sense. Now let us go for the second problem. You want your internal web application to open only from within your Office network, which has a range of 8 IPs starting from .80 to .87. You need to ensure that the HTTP request that originates from your company network should be rendered. Rest every request from the company network or any other source should be blocked. So you are allowing your HTML pages or your web application pages to appear only when the request is coming from your Office network, and your Office network has a well-defined IP addresses. There are 8 addresses. Now based on this problem, you need to write the CIDR for your security group. So again, this is your web server along with the security group, which sits outside the web server, and there are various sources. So all these which are marked in red are not allowed. These are the 8 IPs. I mean, only 3 are shown, but you think that there are 8 IPs in continuation, that ... will are representing the missing ones, for example .82 or .84, whatever. So only from these 8 IPs, if the request is going from these 8 IPs, the web application should work. I mean, it should render results or pages, otherwise it should block. So these are getting blocked and these are getting rendered. I mean, these requests are getting fulfilled. So what should be the solution? In type, you select HTTP, because here we are asking for HTTP requests. Okay, whenever you are selecting HTTP, that protocol will always be TCP. Port range, default port range will be 80, because that's the default port for HTTP communication. And the something which you should pay attention is source. So in source, you should go ahead with /29. After 80, you put a /29. It means it will allow these 8 IPs over here. As we have already seen, 29 means it will be an IP with a range 8 starting from 80 to 87. So this is the takeaway from this slide. If you are going ahead with so the website which you have visited just now, the same can be used. There you can put the first IP and the last IP, that is .80 and 87, and it will automatically give you the value after slash. So in this case it should be 29. Okay, so this is clear, I think. Now here's your problem number 3, and this is a bit simple one than the previous two. Here your company website or websites must be accessible from everywhere on the internet over HTTP and HTTPS. Mark this, HTTP and HTTPS, that is HTTP and SSL both. What's the best security group configuration? So here you can see your web server hosting your website, company website, and maybe other websites as well. And now you want them to be accessible from anywhere over the network. Okay, everything is green means everything should be allowed in. So what's the solution for this? Can we do this? Can we allow all traffic, all protocol, all port range from any source? 0.0.0.0/0 means allow all. Everything should be allowed. We have already seen this. Okay, so this is one of the solutions. Okay, you are allowing everything, every port, every protocol. Now, is this the best solution? Maybe not. Let us see. The best solution will be to allow specifically whatever is required, that is HTTP and HTTPS. HTTP works over port 80 default port, and SSL will work over port 443. So we are allowing only HTTP over port 80 and port 443, not everything. If you are opening all the ports, if you are allowing all the protocols, it means your website or your instance is not secured. So make it a point that whatever minimal is required, you should allow. Rest everything should be blocked. So even though the first solution provided over here at the top will work, this is not the best solution. Okay, this will work, but this is not the best solution because this is not secured. But the lower one, that is the whatever is here, that is very specific in what it is allowing in. So you should always go ahead with the bottom one. So we don't require this first solution. So remember this. These are simple things, but even the seasoned professionals are getting confused. Now, before we wrap up this lecture, points to remember. Every EC2 instance must have at least one security group, and it can go on till 5. That is, maximum of 5 is allowed with one instance. At the time of launch of an instance, it is mandatory step to create your own security group or attach the default one to your instance. For each security group, you add rules that control the inbound traffic to the instance and a separate set of rules that control the outbound traffic. One security group can have a maximum of 50 rules. Remember, 50 rules are allowed for one security group. But practically you should not do this because this will make your application a bit slower because it has to go on and validate 50 rules. Security groups are stateful, that is, response that are allowed in as inbound traffic are automatically allowed to flow out regardless of the outbound rules. So whatever goes in, it comes out regardless of outbound traffic. Even if you delete the outbound rules, if you have allowed something at inbound traffic, it will come out. You can add or modify security groups rules at any point of time. And the last one is the most important one as far as interviews and certification exams are concerned. Once the updated rules are saved, the change takes place immediately. Okay, so remember this. I am repeating it because this is very important. Once the updated rules are saved, the change takes place immediately. Okay. So thank you. Here we learned about security groups. Take a break and join me for the next lecture.